Shall I introduce you or not?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to introduce?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the man himself. The man who knows. The man who shares what he knows. It's Gers. Footy Facts.
And here is another one of my aforementioned footy facts. Sergio Aguero's great-great-grandmother invented the homophone.
And that's a fact, because Gers says so.
It's the franchise. It's the franchise watch. It's the franchise watch. It's the franchise watch.
Surprisingly, a fairly high number of franchise watch entries from the Brighton contingent. I think that there's a degree of animosity there that I wasn't expecting. They're not friendly. They're beastly boys. I'm surprised. They got 600 odd to turn out. Every time I see Stadium MK, it's almost empty.
The MK Dons fans giving it large at the station post-loss were weirdly artificial. Reminded me of those pylons off the motorway that are made to look like real trees. Just slightly off, too perfect in their gesticulations. Did Winkleman plant them? I imagine being put back in the box under a theatre each week to be trained in acting like they were supporting a football team for longer than 10 years by a director unaware of the nuances. God,
that is a fantastic...
Well done.
I had to cut that down. That was edited, but that's a very, very good... Yeah.
If it was bad enough they stole a club, and every song they sang seemed to be stolen from other clubs, they had me rolling around at the end when they sang Loyal Supporters.
Yeah, we kind of laugh at that too. So this is my favourite of the week. I noticed that when the ball went in their end, they wanted to keep it for themselves. Old habits die hard.
That's a good one. Pathetic club, full stop.
Plastic fans, concrete cows, bleak pubs, and shopping.
Fans that follow their club in the lower divisions are plastic. With the amount of unnecessary grief they get, I've got nothing but praise for them.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And carrying on in that same vein, they're an embarrassment to humanity. Never mind football fans.
They've stolen everything from a football club to songs to a poster from the Amex. Middle-class replica shirt wearing noddy Spurs fans with less taste than Jordan and a far less chance of getting laid.
You can't blame the supporters. You can't blame the supporters. They're just cheering on their local club. Blame that bleep Winkleman. Boo him.
Boo.
Boo, Winkle boo.
Where's the money?
Do they live in Wimbledon? Parasites.
MK fans who suddenly started supporting a made-up franchise football club.
Blame the posh bleeps in Wimbledon for not wanting them there.
MK tried to steer our club's place in the Football League, but then got Wimbledon's instead. I'd never heard
anything about us trying to steal them.
No.
And I reckon someone would have mentioned it, surely.
I would have thought so, yeah. No room for a franchise club like MK Dons in football.
Abomination of a football club. First, I think, use of the word abomination for 3 or 4 weeks at least.
Well.
Yeah.
I remembered vividly the deputy director of MKDC telling me that there was absolutely no plan for professional football in the town and that any chance of Luton relocating to MK was dead in the water.
There was a guy who went down a whole series of things on this, and all of them are so false. It was absolutely ridiculous.
I remember a programme, and in the plans, there was always plans for a stadium
There's
around
always
Bradwell
been
Common.
plans for
the second version of the town plan, or whatever it was called, had a picture of the stadium on the cover.
This guy knows
with a statement inside that said a Football League club will be invited to come and play within it.
Yeah. Well, Hull weren't allowed to change their name, which makes it even more of a travesty the disgusting club even exists.
I just point out they put 3 L's in Hull.
They did.
I'm not taking them that seriously. Personally, I think we should all hate Arsenal as well for being the original franchise FC and stealing Woolwich's club.
Milton Keynes has famous cows.
Being famous in Milton Keynes can't be difficult. What a charmless armpit of a place it is.
The charmless armpit. That's got to be a
That
pub.
was the Blur track that was never released.
Yeah.
Armpit.
And lastly, I find MK soulless and I find MK soulless and I'm from Crawley.
Oh, that was rather good.
That was brilliant.
At least they've got an airport.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Look, ideas we've rejected this week. There were 3 things. We rejected an idea to do the whole show standing up because it was radio and you wouldn't know anyway. We rejected the above rejection and decided we'd pretend that we were presenting the whole show standing up because it's radio and you wouldn't know anyway. And we rejected an idea we've been mulling over about Alison Poirier because we discovered that Eric's was shut and that Vince has retired. Pah! Let me just do that. Oh, slick.
We know how difficult it is to plan ahead without accurate forecasting, so we're proud to resort to support the Bob Roll forecast. I've been drinking it already. Brought to you by the lovely people of Forecast, telling the future one cup at a time. And the forecast for this week is looking wet, best stay upright.
Can't argue with that. We need a jingly thing that just says, that's easy for you to say. Because it would be played about 50 times in most shows. Yeah. Let's just do this. Big fan of the show. And we're a big fan of his show, even though none of us have yet listened to it.
That's enough of that. I'm John Twilley, and every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock on Seclo Sounds, I'll be bringing you Soft Touch. We get to the heart of love, dating and relationships in Milton Keynes. With dating tips, real life stories and the best music from the 80s right through to today. This is one relationship you won't want to ditch. Soft Touch, Tuesdays at 9pm on Seclo Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes.
You listen to the MooCamp Radio Show on Seclo Sounds, and yes, we're having fun. Just briefly, look, there's lots of stuff flying around about the fans at this point in time. Do we have anything to be concerned about?
In terms of our fans themselves?
Our fans themselves.
No.
Fisticuffs behaviour type things.
Oh, that kind of thing. Oh, right.
No.
Not at all.
No, just being
I find
restless.
the whole thing quite amusing, really. I'm all for that kind of business. I think it's really funny.
I just think of people hitting each other with hankies, that's all.
Yeah.
In an Elizabethan kind of way.
It's like I said earlier on, there are some people that just go out their way to be offended by nothing. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of silly young lads jumping about. You know, I'm shrugging my shoulders. What can you say?
It is. There's a radio shrug going on here.
Nothing. It's not nothing. It's a big storm in a teacup about absolutely nothing, you know.
Agreed. There's a few bits, essentially, we've not been through some of this as a fan base. We've got to learn how to go through some of this bit, but we're going to do it with relatively poor taste and do it in front of everybody else and just generally have a good time while we're doing it. So
the only thing I will say,
go on,
that things don't wind me up, but when I was doing research for the show, I know you wouldn't think I do any listening to me, but I was reading, was it one of the old forums, and I don't know who it was, but someone said, like, this is just how it is when you go to football, and I have no idea who it was, but someone says, as this type of club, we should be above that, and you think, why should we be above it? I just don't get that attitude. I mean, there's nothing to worry about. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing, apart from that ping, whatever that was.
That was a ping. I can't work out. I think that must be Facebook.
That is Facebook, yeah.
Just quickly, we have an entry for the punchline joke thing. This is from the lovely Modders. Good evening, sir. That just says, his joke is, I got my finger stuck in a signet ring, although I thought the vet said it was a swan.
Oh, that's very good.
Fantastic piece of work there. Okay, let's move on some bits. Coming up, blah.
Coming up, well, that's just a load of stuff.
Yeah,
not a lot of it. We're nearly done.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
This just in. Carl Crobbo Robinson this morning told a hushed press conference at Stadium Colonel MK he'd come up with a solution to our striking problems. With a broad smile plastered across his chubby little face, Crobbo announced he'd join a union and would be following their advice from this moment onwards. More on this once we've established whether this was the poorest This Just In we've ever done.
Quick vote, yes or no? I think it's the poorest one we've ever done. Worse than that? Okay.
I would have thought so.
Fair enough. All right. A few texts and things before we finish.
Yeah, I've got one here. Doris Eiderdown from Coffee Hall has sent in a series of images that in the right light could be considered quite arty. Sadly, the right light is no right at all. And if you catch even a glimpse, you'll have a terrifying sight etched into your retinas for all eternity. Carol from MK1 has texted in to say, I can't believe we were clinging on at the end. They were rubbish. Dave from MK1, he's texted in to say, quiet evening, really, don't know what everyone's uptight about. Lorna from Coffee Hall has texted in to ask us to stop encouraging her mother and says that she's not well. Rest assured, Lorna, we're not encouraging her. And Martin from Margate has texted in to say, loving the points, ta willies.
There you go. I have no idea what that is about at all, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose. If I can move that up there.
As you know, the Dons are the most popular club in the country, and Pete Winky Winkelman is not only the most popular chairman in the lower leagues, he is possibly the most popular man in football. But how widespread is Winky's fame, and who loves Winky? We've carried out some research this week, and we can now say that Lidl's 4.99 Lobster, Rock Lobster, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Lyndon Johnson, John Lydon, John Lennon, Neil Lennon, Neil Hardley, Hardy Matters, Hardley Bird, Dickie Turpin, Ben Elton, Elton John, and everybody from Queens all really, really love Winky. Unfortunately, there were two people we didn't quite manage to get an answer from this week. Victoria Beckham was too busy trying to convince her daughter that Harper 7 really wasn't a stupid name, and Richie McCaw just screamed at us while poking his tongue out far too many times to be healthy.
Excellent one, thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to put some music on the background because I was going to play it as our out track, but Darren's not here, so we're not having an out track. So this can just go on in the background. I went to see ABC on Monday and they were absolutely fantastic, so there you go. Right. When the hell is the next match? What have we got?
21st of November, it's home against Fulham, who are looking for a new manager.
Fulham.
They've sacked her bloke, Kit Simons. Okay. Whatever his name was.
And it's Armed Forces Day.
Watch him at Pompey. Good man. It's Armed Forces Big Day.
Armed Forces Big Day out.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a good idea. A big day out, isn't it?
Yeah, we've never considered any of that.
Big days out.
So we've actually got a show between now and then. So we don't have to do we don't have to do a preview of that one. So we actually have no football whatsoever to talk about.
Wow.
Interesting, all right. So I make it, we've got about 2.25 minutes that I have to find a way to pretending we don't have 2.25 minutes of empty space at the end of it. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, just to ask you gentlemen how you think we're doing so. No, that's boring, I don't care about that. If you could have a mystery guest into the studio next week from our fan base, who would it be? Who should we invite onto the show if we have a seat?
Radar,
that could be interesting, actually.
The guy that sits right at the front of the cowshed, who I've seen however long I've gone there, with the t-shirt something about he hates Luton, but he's got it thinged on the back. I want him in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He sits right in front of you.
Yeah, there's a bloke actually that's not too far in front of us.
Hate is like 8.
Yes.
I hate Luton.
Yeah, and we call him Mr. Angry.
Why is that?
Well, basically, he sits down and says nothing, and then suddenly I'll move away from the mic because if something annoys him, he gets up and goes, and we all go, what did he say? I say, whatever he said, and he just stands up and goes, and then sits back down again.
We get one of them near us, a young guy. He stands up, and he doesn't do anything, but this is not going to work in the radio, but what he does, he stands up and goes like this.
Arms outstretched.
Arms akimbo, you think, is that it? At least shout something
out.
out. Yeah, I'd have him. I'd have all those 3.
Yeah, okay, so we'll get all those in.
Yep.
Listen, I'm going to take a short while just to say thank you for tonight. Thanks very much to Paul for coming along, because if it was just Gers and I winding each other up for an hour, it would have been entertaining. But yeah,
I would have listened.
That's true.
For my lunch.
Our listening figures would have been higher. But yeah, it's been a really good show, actually. Thanks for that. I'm looking forward to next week, although we think Mr. Gers may not be with us next week.
I might not be here, I'm not sure yet.
Bearing in mind the current performance from Albion Modders, Christ knows it might just be me and Paul or something like that. But what I would suggest is you have a wonderful week. Enjoy your international friendly weeky thing. Support Mr. Church and whoever else is out there, and do whatever else it is. Oh my God, the computer's just about to restart. That's interesting. Slight tangent there for a minute, but have a great weekend. Thanks ever so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Cheers! Bye-bye.
MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture and much more to 84,000 people every month. Plus news, views and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse, and it's available online at www.mkpulse.com.